Yo guys, welcome back to Retribution Gaming. I'm Tominator T92 and with me I have Bing Bong.
Hello, everyone. Big Bong back at it again with another podcast with y'all.
So this podcast is going to be an interesting one. Part one, it's going to be patch notes discussion. We have some compliments on the dev communication. We have discussion of the ecosystem. And we also have a podcast format for this part one as well. So that's going to be an update there about how we're going to be taking the podcast forward. So let's start with patch notes discussion. Bing, I'm actually going to put you a little bit on the spot. If you wanted to give a rough summary for phase one about the player inventories.
Yes. So basically, the game will be bringing forward a bunch of changes to kind of try to temper down some of the bugs and problems that they have with lags and crashes and stuff like that. And to do so, they will put a cap on players' accessory inventory and echoes inventory. So people will be capped at 100 accessories only and 300 echoes to like limit the amount of space that the system takes. Because I think they said something like every time you log in into islands or sky or a place where you can access your inventory, they need like the system needs to load your entire inventory, which is one of the main cause of lag that they have right now. So it's kind of a workaround for that. And other than that, they will be also bringing finally the capacity to sell stuff to the vendor. I mean, that's not something new. That's just something that was bugged, which I'm glad it does come back finally. And also a new Echo Dust system that we will go into a bit deeper in a couple minutes.
Lovely. Okay, so let's break this down then. So, what are your thoughts on the inventories being limited to 100 accessories and 300 echoes?
Well, I will forward this with the fact that they said it is a temporary solution, so it's not going to be permanent for the rest of the game, and we won't always be capped at that. So it's just something that they do for now. But even then, I feel the numbers are a bit small. For accessories, they may be fine unless you're like really, really deep into the game and you have like builds for every single Wayfinder and stuff like that. So I think 100 accessories is fine. But 300 echoes, that is very little with the amount of echoes that we get just playing the game like on a normal pace, like not even trying to grind stuff or whatever. Like I've seen some people say that usually they get about like 5 to maybe 10 echoes per run in a dungeon. So the 300 cap is gonna be reached really, really quick, I feel.
Yeah. See, when I originally read this, I thought, okay, so they're limited it down to improved performance, right? I actually thought they would then might go on to sell us capacity, so they can also make some money off of it as well. Which I'm not against that, by the way. Like,
I am.
uh, I've, I mean, the other games I've played kind of do a similar thing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Mm.
I'm kind of used to that myself. I know it may be a little jarring to people though, but that's why I originally thought they were until it was said, I think in the Wayfinder Discord, that it'd be like a temporary solution until they find something better. Um, which I mean, let's be real, right? If they're on about finding something better, it probably means they might not sell it back to us. They're obviously gonna have to expand it for free, going forward with like the new Wayfinders if they want those to sell off. With the um, well, they coming in battle passes. Um, so they're gonna like the more weapons, the more Wayfinders that come out, the more capacity you're gonna need by default.
Yes.
I don't think they'd force it upon players to go and buy that capacity. I think they may expand it to a default. They could sell more capacity as a luxury to go over the default increase. So let's say they increased it up to 500. They may sell 50 slots for 500 rune silver or something to increase that to 550, something like that. I wouldn't be too against that either, though. But it is something they could do, especially when they reach a more hard cap number with that. I feel like that might be a little money maker for them.
Well, the funny thing is like that if that was a thing from the start of the game, like if we knew when starting that this would have been a thing, I think people will be less against it. But putting a system like that now would feel a bit greedy. I feel like just pull back on the infinite inventory we have and just say, "Hey, you need to pay money for that now." That would just look super super greedy, and I think people would like go into an outrage for that. Yeah.
Would you say it looked greedy though if they did increase you? So every new Wayfinder and weapon, they gave you a free amount of slots increased to go with that.
I mean,
So
like,
like by that, so if you're at 500, for example,
yeah,
new Wayfinders just come out, they gave you 50 extra slots. Would you still be against them selling
yeah,
extra slots even after they've given you 53? Because I know right now where you're coming from. With right now, you can have as many as you want. But let's say, in terms of the server capacity and stuff, they have to reduce that, and selling it may help improve the servers. They can put that money towards that kind of stuff to keep the game running smoothly.
I mean, more money for them is always a plus because yeah, it means more support towards the game. But right now, especially with all the stuff that's happened since launch, I feel that the main thing they need to keep in check is their reputation. And adding a system like that now would just worsen it. Like I said, it would look super greedy to just charge people for something they had like unlimited amounts of before. I get why they are reducing the capacity now, like that. I don't have problems again, and I know they will like slowly just expand it as they go. Probably like they're gonna work on their. I guess it's database stuff. Probably I'm not a tech guy or dev, so I have no clue. But I think charging money for it, even though it could help them, and that I will agree on, I think would just be a bad taste for everyone.
Yeah. Um. Now I have to give credit here. Just looking at these patch notes, they are a big improvement over the past patch notes that we've had in the past. Like going into details about like how much XP we got when we traded an Echo and stuff. So instead of 150 XP, you're getting 150 dust. Small things like that. So right, that's a big improvement. Like little details like that are what us players want to know. So we can plan ahead going forward as well. Like
Absolutely.
right now, if you're a guy that wants XP and you've got tons of echoes, go start trading them in if you want the XP, or hold them if you want the dust instead to see what you can do with that.
Well, I when they say XP in the patch, I don't think they mean like character XP. I mean just XP to level up your echoes, probably. But also, I will agree with you that this patch note is way better than the last one we've got. And a side note on that, I guess since we're kind of mentioning the dust system, maybe we should explain what it is actually, because we didn't go over that yet. So if you want to do the honors on that.
Yeah, sure. Let me just find this on the patch notes. So a player can now break down echoes into dust. That dust is then infused into your echoes. The dust system is currently 1-to-1, meaning an echo right now that infused gives you 150 XP and you get 150 dust. When you wait, is that it?
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
basically, the new system is instead of just like putting echoes into an echo you want to upgrade, you can just destroy your other echoes for like a currency of some that is just called dust, and then use that currency to level up your other echoes instead. That's pretty much the whole like gist of it. But so it's
I won't lie. Like reading that, I thought that was going to be a little longer then because I just reading on to the next line, thinking they're going to expand a little more onto that, and yeah, it didn't really.
I mean, I don't think you need to know more than that. Like, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, basically, it's the same thing we have right now. Just instead of using echoes directly to upgrade your other ones, just gonna use your dust. So you have less echo in your inventory overall to go with the inventory changes that we've mentioned just before. So it's pretty much a given. The only thing I will mention that's a bit weird about this system that they told us about is the fact that both for your accessories and your echoes, when you're close to reaching max capacity or when you reach max capacity, you will get a pop up to like tell you, hey, your capacity is maxed. You need to destroy stuff now, otherwise, you won't get anything else, pretty much. So I feel they could have done a bit better on that, like some kind of either like auto like dust echoes that you get, so they don't go into your inventory, except if they're of certain quality, or just a mass like breakdown instead of having to destroy them one by one and choose what you want to destroy. Because right now we have a lot of echoes that are duplicate. Like I don't know about you, but I when I'm looking at my inventory, I see some echoes that I have like 20 times right now, and I wish I could just get rid of them like real quick and just keep my best one pretty much. So I think something like that would be good with the dust system, but we'll see when
I
it's in, I
would
guess.
I would absolutely love for that auto feature.
Yeah.
You were just on about why certain rarity would be turned into a dust
Yeah.
because me being me, I would actually sack every uncommon in the game and just like go like rare and
Yeah.
epic.
I mean, anyway, like once you have a epic version of an echo, like you don't care about any other like rarity of it. Like if I drop, I don't know, a deceiver echo and it's purple, I don't care if I get a green one after. I won't need it. I have a purple one sitting right there. Like, just dust that thing. So, something like that could be
There
nice.
was something about that though, because we was having this conversation in Discord yesterday, and there was a few of us all sat in Discord talking about it, and what the conversation that came up was about alts with this system, right? So, an alternative way, if they really wanted to reduce this down, would be to let the same echoes be used on Wayfinders or the weapons at least, so that way they wouldn't need to keep expanding the accessories and echo capacity. Instead, you'd farm up all the set. So let's say Kairos or ability power,
Yeah.
and you want to gear the heroic Kairos on top of that. You could use the same echoes from that Kairos on heroic Kairos without the game flipping out telling you can't.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Right now, if you put an echo on another weapon or wayfinder, it just removes it from the previous one. And I like maybe not for like a way to duplicate echoes to like have them on two characters, because sometimes I know I've heard that stuff can like break systems because it just like basically duplicates your stuff. But just a way to save a loadout for a character. Like, let's say I want to save my Wingrave loadout with these echoes slot in him, and then when I go back to that loadout, it puts the echoes back in automatically, pretty much. I'm not sure if you've played Monster Hunter a bit ever, but they do something like that where you have like gems, decorations they're called, that you can put into your armor for skills and stuff like that. And when you do put a decoration in another piece of equipment, it removes it from the previous one, like it does in Wayfinder. but if you save your equipment in a loadout, it will put the decoration back in like you saved it, even if it's somewhere else, which is pretty handy to not having to move everything every single time.
I have to admit something. I have never played that game.
Well,
I'm
I would recommend it.
so
If you have friends.
I've got a whole list. Like I was having a discussion with Malt about gaming because I'm the type of guy that will play like an MMO, and outside of like some Call of Duty on the side here and there or a bit of Warframe, it's that MMO. Like you live and breathe that MMO. So yeah, fitting games on the side. I mean, I only really play Call of Duty because of the family and my partner plays that. So yeah, I mean, Warframe's a special case. I've been in that game far too long to just quit that outright. But
Get you on
yeah, I will eventually get around to playing these games, like Baldur's Gate 3, um, and even Ghost Recon. I've still got a couple of those to play, like Breakpoint. But yeah, just at the moment, everything's fully on a single game.
Yeah,
I'm just,
every
I don't know why it's like that, but it's just the way I am at the moment.
I know. Well, I get you. I dropped pretty much every single other game that I was playing to play Wayfinder. Like I was kind of spread on 4 games before Wayfinder came out, and now I'm playing only Wayfinder, and that's it. So the grind, man, the grind gets you.
I am so like sorry to like break off topic quickly. I am really surprised though at how this game, in terms of gameplay, forget about the server issues, forget about the bugs at the moment. In terms of gameplay, so a lot this game can go in direction. The amount of players that I've brought over from other games, like Guild Wars 2, from Star Wars The Old Republic, couple from Warframe, and then friends and family on top. I can't believe that for the most part, almost none of them have quit this game. They are still here playing. Some are really hooked to the game. And like when I brought all these over, I was selling these guys the game. Like I was like, this is the next big thing. This is like Warframe meets a more MMO tradition. This is kind of like Guild Wars 2 meets Warframe was my way of selling it to them. And they are loving it. Loving it. Issues aside, of course, they have had to tolerate some issues, but yeah,
Yeah.
I could see why you're still here playing. Why you've ditched the other games to play it. Like,
Yeah, this game really has like a way to just get to you and just want to like get you wanting to play more and just get more stuff, which is pretty surprising too. Because right now it is pretty bare bones. Like like there's a lot of stuff to do, but not that much either. And still, like every time I come back off work, I'm like, man, I want to play some Wayfinder right now. I got some boss to grind and stuff.
yeah. Let's come back to this in a moment. Let's finish up with these patch notes because I feel like this is going to be a good off topic.
Yeah,
Um, so the patch notes in future phase will implement the ability to get a few items that would have otherwise been abandoned due to full inventory. Uh, in the future, we will be bringing this limit over to crafted housing items as well. Purchased items are exempt from this limit. And then for phase 2, you will only be able to access your inventory and swap weapons and characters at a signal, fire, or skylight. Now, I believe it was this phase 2 one that rubbed a few people wrong. I believe it's on Reddit or the Wayfinder Discord. It's one of them I remember reading a few different posts, and it was like this was one of the selling points or something they were going on about, and that they were going back on that now. For me personally, don't really see that as an issue.
yeah, no same. I mean, first thing first, I'm surprised it wasn't in the game like from the start, because that's the thing. I know a lot of game with characters like that do. Like for example, Warframe. You can't switch Warframe in the middle of a mission. Like, you need to go back to
Yeah,
your ship and just swap. But in some cases, like in Wayfinder, like especially in the islands, I've had a couple cases, or I could just like swap characters mid fight because the enemy was away for a second or something. Like I remember doing the Nightmaw, the Worm Boss, with my level 30 Windgrave, and then like in the middle of the fight, because the fight is pretty easy overall, I was just messing like in my menu with some stuff, and I like swapped my Venomous in the middle of the fight. I think it was because the boss goes underground sometime, and when it does, it counts as like out of fight for a bit, so you can just swap characters. So I just starting the fight with my Wingrave to just get the boss down a bit. And then when it was low health, I would switch to my Venomous to grab the XP on her because I could just do that.
yeah.
Like,
It's I like, yeah, just yeah. Maybe that's why I don't see it as an issue because of like you said, Warframe. Warframe's had it. Other games have had it for quite some time, and I'm used to that anyway. I don't think like this is a big issue to be flipping out about. There are some other big issues like buying a skin off the shop and DCing and not having that skin in your inventory, and the shop saying you own it still. I've got that issue. That's the ticket's gone in. I haven't heard anything back. It's been a few days now on that.
I feel
You
like
know, I've
I feel like we're almost opposite in like luck and bad luck in this. Like you get every single bug and crash and bad stuff possible going for you, and I just dodge everything. Like a couple of days ago, I bought a ton of rune silver, bought a couple stuff in the shop, and everything's in my inventory. Everything's fine.
speaking of bad luck. Actually, I am gonna share my bad luck with this game. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Day one, I get into the game. I'm there 5 minutes. I make it through the tutorial. Crash. Load back in. Hit with a queue. It's fine. Get back in. Tutorial. Crash. So then get load back in. Servers are down. Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back. So I just keep pushing spacebar to keep getting in because then the queues stop working. 10 hours of pushing spacebar. Okay, and every time I made it to the front of that damn queue, the servers got shut down. On to the second day. I'm still in the tutorial, and this time I've managed to kill the boss. And guess what? I can't load into the next bloody zone. So I've got to play the whole tutorial again. um, and that has been my luck going forward. So like the XP nerf come at the time just as I started using it. I touched it, nerfed. Like for real. I buy a skin, bugged. Like that's my experience. That's only my experience. And I tell you what, it's a funny experience. I don't hold it against the game in any way, shape, or form. I will sit and complain about it now and again. But it's just funny how people like Bing have a complete opposite
Yeah, I mean,
experience to that.
first day, like you said, you pushed spacebar for a couple of hours and crashed every time. In the meanwhile, like I had to go through the first long queue that was, I think, 5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And I got into the game, did the tutorial, played for like an hour, and I was just running around having fun, and everything was fine. Like, so yeah, I think experience can like really differ from one person to another.
Oh, for sure. But it is an experience. Like we can all one day look back on this and have a laugh. Like because we've got that video on YouTube that I think Landon done, right? The meme video. What was it like for launch day as well?
Yeah.
That's something to definitely look back on. Okay. Let's I feel like patch notes have mainly been covered at this point. Like, do you have anything you want to add before you move on from them? Like,
Oh, I think we've gone over it pretty well. And I mean, I kind of like for them to come around just to see how it will change the game. And also, I mentioned it at the start, I will say it again. Thank God for being able to sell accessories. I am piling on so many freaking accessories. I'm sick of it. Gonna be a millionaire when the patch comes around.
oh yeah, like me, Wolf and Vecna, we've been running that. Can't remember the last name of the map now. The snow map.
Yeah,
It's the one that shouldn't be out yet, but is
yeah,
out yet.
hollowed heart.
We we've been running around leveling up characters and that. And by being leveling, be getting like tons of accessories and stuff. All of these are like in the 30s, like to the point that we've got like many duplicates of these now. Like when that sell accessory feature comes in, we're going to be quite rich on gold. To like we won't be having to farm for gold anymore.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's move on then. Let's talk about the devs communication. We lightly went over it in the patch notes, but I feel like they do need complimenting on this. Um, they like these patch notes are a way better job. The Discord um announcements that they've been doing um have still been great. They've been maintained, and even them in chat answering questions has been fantastic. Most times I've had my own questions answered. A couple of times they haven't. I can't expect to be answered all the time though, right? Like there's thousands of people in that Discord server, so I understand that. Um, Bing, what's your kind of experience on this? Like, how have you felt the communication and stuff has been from the devs from your point of view as well?
Yeah. Well, actually, the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure in a previous podcast we mentioned that we would like if they would do like less frequent update, but like update that are 100% accurate and will not shift like 20 minutes later. And it seems they have been following that route. So I'm not sure if they're listening to us or something, but like we get less updates now, but when they do give updates, it's some good ones and some actual like real update that don't change 20 minutes after. So it's pretty nice to see just some good like infos coming out, some solid stuff that is saying is. Ooh, I'm struggling a bit. Sorry. Some good infos that is saying to us we are working on stuff and like we're not giving up and this is actually working out this way. Also,
Yeah. Uh,
I will say too, before like giving compliments to the dev who obviously are working really hard, I will probably once again give compliments to the faces of Airship, which are Snarf and Solid, because these guys are taking like pretty much the biggest hit, just being always in the chat, like you said, being the one that tell the news to everyone and just being the, like I said, the faces pretty much. These guys are rocking it and they're doing a super great job.
it's funny you mentioned them because they were my next point on the list. Because I've been watching that Discord closely, just for information as well. And it's nice to see that they can also have a bit of fun back at the community, especially against some of those trolls or the ones really over the top accusations.
Oh yeah, they
Um,
do bite back.
yeah, we gave a couple of examples in our Discord, which I'm not gonna, I won't say what they said, but um, yeah, it's just nice to see, like they're not just gonna 100% take everything you throw at them. They're gonna have some fun back, like bingo cards, stuff like that, back your way on the comments that you leave them. So that was pretty entertaining. I felt like, yeah, they have taken a lot of flack as well.
Yep.
I believe that Discord does need moderating a little more. That would be my feeling for that. I think
Well,
some of the stuff said there is quite questionable.
I was
But
about to say actually they did add like some moderation. They have two moderators, now, which I mean is not a lot for Discord this size, but it is more people just watching and moderating right now. So that's already a step forward. I feel that's nice.
Speaking of devs and stuff as well, I did notice that they are recruiting as well because they've just moved office.
All right.
So they're now hiring as well, um, which is great in a way. That it's really good that they're hiring. I noticed like a load of people were saying like, "Oh, dead game, they're hiring people." They could just be looking to expand their team to really push this game further. You know, like just because a company's hiring doesn't mean anything negative whatsoever. It's actually a really good positive step. I'd be more worried if they had layoffs and they weren't hiring.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Um, but yeah, like all I gotta say to the devs is thank you for making this game. Like I'm having a blast. The bad times are gonna be turned into memes for sure. We can all look back on them and laugh. But going forward, it's gonna be so much fun. It really is. I am really hyped for this game in a way. I really do enjoy playing it. I enjoy making the content for YouTube. I don't really care about the views either. I'm just doing it because I want to look back one day, like from the other games that we've played over the years. Don't really have anything to say. I've been there and done it. Like I've got a couple of like old videos, but yeah, you know, having this podcast to kind of look back on and go, look, this is our thoughts at the start of the game. This is it after launch. This was it at this point in time. That's going to be great to look back on one day. But the other main reason is a lot of the gameplay and stuff as well. My kids watch, and they like seeing their dad on YouTube and stuff, so they get to actually see what I'm doing. So that's my actual drive for this as well. Like it's not about views and stuff like that. It is just having fun doing what I love. I don't know about you being like,
Yeah, I mean,
what's your motivation?
I can surely thank the dev for making a game so fun that I want to pretty much just drop like every single minute of my free time in it. Because honestly, this game is kind of a special one for me too. Because I've been playing a lot of game over the years and a lot of like MMOs that I've played for a couple of years. Like for example, Warframe, I've been playing for 9 years now, I think, which is a long time. But I've never had a game really where first I was there from the start, like from the actual launch of it, and that I wanted so much to just dive into it and just go at it 100%. And Wayfinder is like the first time I have something like this. And like, I mean, we didn't have the game for that long for now, but even there, like, I still want to just go super deep in it and just do everything I can because this game is amazing and I can easily see myself playing it for a couple of years, like down the road still. This game is amazing.
Yeah. And speaking of like the devs and so we actually had some feedback about overly criticizing the game as well. And to those people that think we're overly criticizing the game, I say to you, it's because we want the game to be the best that it can be. And we feel like we're very passionate about wanting things to go the right way. Um, yeah, like I don't think we're being overcritical. If anything, we're pointing out the stuff that really does need to be fixed. And I'm glad, especially with these patch notes as well, that a lot of what we were going on about, they're aiming, they're attempting to still try and fix. The communication was there. So in that sense, like no, I don't think I'm overcritical to a point, but if I come across that way, it's just because I'm passionate. I need this game to work. I need that like I've got a lot of people come here like following me to this game. And then we're trying to build a guild and community around that as well. We've got a YouTube channel that we never thought we'd do, now open and pumping out content on the game. We've, a lot of our time is invested now into this game, and a lot of our goals are invested into this game. So we really need this game to succeed, and for that, like, at times we do need to give some honest feedback. Like, if there's a problem, we're going to be honest about it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. And I feel that's the best approach. If I just came on the podcast every week and complimented the devs, yeah, that would look great, but it's not really giving them any feedback. It's, you know what I mean? It's not telling them what's wrong. And if I sugarcoat it, it's not probably doing them any favors either. Like, there was some, there have been some serious problems with the game, and they have needed to know. Many people have said them now as well. Like, I'm not the only one. Like, if you got any thoughts on that, Bing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I fully agree with you. Like, I think if we were just a bunch of yes men, like praising the dev every single time, like we wouldn't bring anything forward. I feel criticism is an important thing as long as it's constructive and not just bashing for the sake of bashing. Like you said, we do want the game to succeed and go forward and just go along with it. And the only way we can do that is if we can point what works and what doesn't to the dev in the slightest chance that they do listen to what we have to say. I mean, the more voices that are out there just telling like the dev what they would like about the game, the more like odds we have to push the game in a direction that we like and that will work for it. So I think that's the best way to
I
do it.
I would like to think they at least listen to some of it, because we've had an email saying that they are, I think it was watching us or something. If you can remember the email I posted, Bing.
Yeah, I mean,
They're keeping an
putting this
they're keeping an eye
way,
on us.
putting this way feels like we're getting stalked or something, but no, they do know like about our content and they keep an eye on. I think they do for a lot of creators too. Like I doubt it's like a limited section of people. Pretty sure they keep an eye on anyone that's posting on the game because they want to know what the reaction about it are. But yeah, it's pretty nice to see like that we are seen and we are heard and they do look at what we do.
That's the main objective, right? Like, I mean, we can put our views out there. Some will agree, some will disagree, and that's all we can do. The main thing is this is fun,
Yep.
and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep making this. So yeah. Speaking of which, then let's go on to the next category. Um, so this is going to be the discussion of the ecosystem, and also at the time of recording today, I've just put out a video, a dive into the ecosystem and where to find the best echoes. Originally, that video I had planned to do about 10 minutes. I ended up recording about 45 minutes plus of footage. I then had to try and break that down, and it was really hard because I'm one of those guys that I have a lot of information in front of me and I want to get it all out, but at the same time, information overload and other stuff like that where I can go a little too much into to like build craft and stuff like that. So I think I got it down to about 7 minutes 30. Take it what you will. There is a bit at the beginning that will help the new players that have not played a game like this before, that just may need a little bit of help. The main chunk of what people want out of that video is probably that website so they can plan ahead. So that's also time stamped in the video. But yeah, let's go on then. Let's go on to the discussion of the ecosystem.
So basically, you saw that you had too much content for the video, so you decided that you're just gonna like drop it all in there instead. I see the strategy, but I see it.
I put it this way. I may have to do a follow up video, right? Because there's so much. Because there's so many different ways I could do the content, right? I can even make it specifically for end game players, but that may miss out the casual players that are just taking their time, or maybe they don't like. They're busy with work and real life. They don't want to invest too much time into the game, learning this, learning that. So having it all there laid out on the plate might help them. Um, and then I wanted to try and keep it new player friendly. But the thing is, when you're doing that many people, that's already just the first part. I think was 15 minutes alone in that video. Like that's just going through the systems for and stuff for them. Yeah, it was. I put it this way: I'm happy with how it has gone out, but if I had it my way, you guys would have a 45-minute video on it. But let's be honest, you probably all wouldn't watch a 45-minute video on it. So take that what you will. But maybe a follow up, couple of different breakdowns, maybe going forward. But yeah. So Bing, my question to you, buddy.
Ah.
So the ecosystem, let's keep this present and future, okay? So how it is now and what it will be like going forward.
Yeah.
My first question to you would be if there was anything else you would change to this system going forward, what would it be?
I mean, that one is an easy answer. I feel I've been kind of screaming that one since day one, but I really would like if we could only put an echo of of an enemy a single time in our build, just to allow for more variety instead of putting the same guy like 6 times and just stacking the same stat like a madman. I mean, Warframe does this where you can't put the same mod twice in your build, even if you like, let's say your Warframe and your companion. I think yeah, for the companions, some of their weapons, like the little robots one, they share mods with your weapons, but you can't put the same mod on both your like your weapon and your companion's weapon. It's one or the other. And I think it would work in the game. Like we have so much echoes at our disposition right now that I feel like a waste to just put the same one 6 times and just go with it. And it also I feel it also did like this diminish the niceness of getting an epic echo, because right now, like even if you get one epic, you probably will think to yourself, oh well, I need 4 more now. And
Yeah.
seeing how rare the epics are already, like I feel it just makes it feel worse almost. So yeah, I would really like if we could just only put one echo of an enemy in our build.
Okay. I'm gonna bring up my one. For echoes, well, stats in general, actually, this can be tied to echoes and even accessories. So I want diminishing returns.
Hmm?
And I want to know those kind of boundaries as well, right? Because I do agree with you. I don't feel like being able to stack one thing, take Kairos or AP build. Yeah, it looks cool. But I don't think that build was intended to actually be a thing. And if it was, got to question why. But the way I looked at the stats, I feel like, they're wanting people to invest a bit in the weapons, bit into AP, and then if you're a healer or whatever, you invest into some other stats like HP, defense. But I feel like in this game, you need diminishing returns. So anything that's broken, a lot of people are saying Heroic Kairos is broken. I don't think he is the issue here either. It's being able to stack like 15k AP on him and not really see any diminishing effects that would outweigh that. By that I mean if you lowered it down to where he went to 10k AP or something, and then you had to invest in a crit and crit damage, would make a little more sense. But um, yeah, at the moment, pure AP seems to be the way to go for consistency, at least. You'd invest in crit for those like bigger one-off numbers, but getting them consistent is kind of a real pain in the ass to do as well. So that's where I'd go with it. Diminishing returns kind of covers all the subjects, I guess.
I mean, I will go a bit deeper in your idea, actually, because while I do agree that diminishing returns on stacking stats would be a nice idea just to avoid, Kairos doing 150k damage in a single ability, I think like if they do that, they would need to balance it well because if the diminishing returns like start kicking in too soon, I feel that will almost force everyone to just run like a general build or just like a nice even spread of every single stat because you can't go that deep into a single stat instead. So I think
I would like to say I'd like to see diminishing returns start at any stat that's about 8k and above. That may change as the new stuff comes out and we get bigger stat pools. But that's where right now at this point in time I would base it. I do feel like for Kairos, like yeah, the stacking ability power is great, but what about your crit? I feel like crit and crit power should be brought more into play. And maybe those aren't working as intended or something's not there, but they don't really seem to. I'm not really seeing a difference investing into those. I know you're not going to invest highly into them, but I would like to see crit rating and crit power come more into play on builds like that. Make it a little more bursty and stuff. Um, and even if you forced Kairos to take some weapon power, wouldn't be a bad thing. It would definitely be better than having 15k AP, right? That becomes a little bland and boring. But
yeah, I get you.
like there's already people crying out for him to be nerfed. But it's not him that actually needs the nerf. It's the ability to stack that many stacks in one thing and just kind of ignore everything else.
I mean, while that is true, you said yourself that everything you touch gets nerfed. So, you pretty much sealed Kairos' fate when you picked him up. So he
Yeah,
shall get nerfed. Or not, we'll see.
yeah, I'm waiting for that one. It's gotta come. Although I have been playing with Wingrave, so
Oh no, don't do that to my boy, man. Don't don't nerf my Wingrave.
you know that the click the mouse once, hold down E to reset that one skill.
Yeah, yeah.
Might get nerfed.
Oh god. No. Nah, no. I mean, honestly, I don't think they could nerf Wingrave, and maybe except like his ult that's kind of busted right now, but even there, like, it's not that bad. So, yeah. But
I
going back to the ecosystem real quick, I actually thought of something else that I would like them to add because there is something right now that I feel doesn't make much like sense, at least for me, and it's boss echoes that like they each have their own ability that yeah have various like triggers and effects and stuff like that, and they're all pretty like unique from one another, which is really nice. But the thing that's like kind of weird about them is they follow the same system as every other echo, where the one you get further in the game cost a lot more but are a lot more powerful, which mean there's kind of no point in running any echoes from early game bosses, which really sucks because some of them have some really good abilities, but like you don't want to run an like 7 capacity echo when you can have a like 121 that will give you much more stats. Anyways, I feel they should
I
kind of work on that. But
I'm kind of conflicted on those, and I kind of hate that I have two slots on Heroic Kairos for that as well. I don't really find them too useful. Like on paper, they look good, but then when you think about the actual practicality, like I think the Dread Legion one that a lot of people were sticking on Kairos. Seems really good, right? You
Yeah,
use an ability, you get a power increase. But here's the thing for Kairos. You use your abilities all the time. So you're not really getting burst damage. Like there's no way of holding that to when you really want it, you know? Like
yeah.
so is it really that great? Probably not. Would you be better off sticking stats there to have a consistent boost? Probably so.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Like
thing right now. Like just raw stats will do more than a boss echo, and that's why almost no one is running boss echoes, which I think is also a shame because they are cool. So maybe
there is there is one. There is actually one. I've seen that she's depending on the Wayfinder. There's an endurance one, and it's actually pretty decent. Increases your endurance.
interesting.
Um, I can't remember where I picked it up from. I believe it's the Reliquary. You pick it up there, increases the endurance. On Windgrave, it's pretty good. But it could also work on squishier frames to kind of give them, if I remember correctly, like stamina was the dodge bar, right?
Yep.
So, you know, an extra dodge there maybe wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah. Also, well, another thing that's weird with some, like two echoes in particular, that I don't know why it's that way. The islands, like open world bosses, echoes. So the Talon of Fire and the Night's Maw, which are two bosses that you can do when you're pretty like late into the game and pretty geared. I don't think you can really do them like super early into the game. Their boss echo are like super low level, like early game capacity for some reason. So their power, like the scaling that goes with it, is kind of bad too. And I don't know why, because you like. I think right now the ones I've got, the echo capacity is like 7, which is pretty much the same you would get from enemies that are like level 4 or something like that. And I don't think you can kill Talon of Fire while being level 4. So, that's odd.
Do you think it could be their way of trying to bring balance into those? Because there are a couple of good echoes that I think were around sort of the level 10 area as well, which I was considering for stat budget reasons when planning a few builds.
I mean,
Because if I had it my way, I would be going to that like last map and farming that and slapping that all in Kairos, but stuff does get expensive there, like especially when you get to epic tiers. It's if you're not matching it into those slots as well, like it can really add up.
yeah. But
Um,
even there, like, and the end game echoes get so crazy that most of the time I would rather just slap some like random stats from an end game echo on my character than just taking like a lower level one to get a little bit of the stats I want. Like I have the choice between 100 weapon power or like 800 defense. Yeah, I'm gonna take that defense. Like that's just a normal. Even though defense is kind of broken right now, but that's another subject, I think. But like these stats, like numbers, is just so big on these end game echoes that kind of makes pretty much everything from early game kind of pointless. Almost.
yeah, I actually go bringing that defense subject quickly back in. I did hear it was broken, like it's not really working as intended.
Yeah,
It does have me thinking, what else is kind of broken that is it? Because we know some of like the masteries for the weapons. I think you know what I'm on about.
yeah, yeah,
I believe like a couple of them don't work either. Um, but the thing is, you won't know that, right? Because it's not clearly stated anywhere. So you could be sat there putting stuff into it, thinking, "Oh yeah, this is great," but it's not working, and you wouldn't know it.
yeah. especially since a lot of these masteries are stat boosts. Like for example, I know I've actually learned recently that the masteries you've got depends on like the archetype of your character, which I didn't even know was a thing for like because when I swapped from Windgrave to Venomous, I realized that my gun masteries were different. So that got me by surprise already because I didn't even know that was a thing in the game. But like for example, War Masters, their two-ended weapon have a mastery that gives like you, I think it's 20, 30, or 40% more break damage. And like this thing, maybe it doesn't even work, and I wouldn't know a single thing about it because I got no way of like checking if it does pretty much. So
Yeah, but yeah, little things like that really. I guess that would be the quickly nipping back to the dev part. Like that's where I would slot that. Little things like that maybe should be communicated. Try and get a list of what's broken there and try and notify people or something. I guess so they can basically put on some stuff that actually works. I am curious on the defense stat though. Didn't really notice anything myself with that.
I mean, I'm
Um,
seeing, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, I at like not that long ago, I was at like 4K defense and like 6K or even 8K magical defense, and like I didn't even see the difference really in like how many. I mean, magical defense, I see the difference a bit more with like bosses that use a lot of casting stuff. Like the first I see, I can take a bunch more it than some other people on, or like Argent End. I can think a lot of stuff, but physical defense seems to just not be working. Like when people hit me with like melee weapon, they hurt a lot, even if I have a lot of defense. So I think right now, like the best way to play a tank is just stack HP and roll, roll a lot.
yeah.
Which,
Um, yeah. Like, there's so much potential though. Like, it's. I really do want to get into the buildcraft, but the thing is, it is the stuff that you don't know if it works or it don't, and there's. It's kind of putting me off doing the buildcraft,
yeah,
but I would love to sit there. I'm one of those guys that would spend hours buildcrafting what I think. I don't just want to copy anyone's build, you know? Someone on YouTube can come up with a really good build, but I want to put my own spin on that. I want to make it unique to me. Maybe I want some more HP for where I want to take a natural hit. Or maybe I want to run a little more crit rating because I want to have a little more consistent DPS. Or again, weapon power instead of so much ability power.
yeah,
So that way, when I've used up all my cooldowns, I can still actually DPS the boss pretty okay.
yeah.
Um,
I get you. I mean, recently I've been having some fun on my Venomous with a build that is like a ton of crit power, but absolutely zero crit rating because I'm running around with Longshot, which is a rifle, and its special ability is like a special weak point that if you hit is a guaranteed crit. So like when I prog that thing, it slaps really hard, and it's just kind of satisfying to go around and one-shotting people with.
oh, I've seen the power of that. We had Finny join us farming last night, and he brought his silo and boy was he shredding. Keeping in mind, I'm still leveling up the Winggrave. So like I was just bringing him in like in there to level while also farming the echoes as well. Two birds, one stone, and it's a guild group, right? It's not like I'm inflicting pain across pugs. They normally inflict pain towards me, so you know that's a different topic though. But um, yeah, it's like I mean, even Wolf come in and Finny was just pew pew. And they melted, and this was severe too. I think it wasn't. We didn't go too high because we didn't want like the people leveling like myself to get one shot or anything like that. But yeah, I was really surprised that that's. just when I thought I kind of got to grips with the weapons and what each one done, something else came up and surprised me, which was really nice actually. Like the game is not as predictable as we originally thought.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to add onto the ecosystem
I mean,
topic itself?
I have a couple stuff I would like to add, but we're pretty deep into the podcast already, so maybe we should put a fork into that one and come back to it some other time. Or do you want to
Yeah,
go?
yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll put a fork in it for now. Save it for when we've got a couple of other people on as well, and we can try and get a little more feedback. I tell you what would be a really good time is when time to bring this back up again would be after the changes hit, and we can go into detail there, like a before and after thing as well.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a really good thing. Okay, so let's move on to the last topic then, and that is a quick podcast format update. Um, so how to basically put this? So at the moment, as you know, we're doing a 2 hour podcast split into two parts. Originally, we were doing one episode that was 2 hours, and people said it was too long, so we split it into two parts. I think we're coming up to a point now where we can do it in one episode and keep it around 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. So this podcast will be the last two-parter that we do going forward. And the reason for that as well is it also gives us a little more time to start working on other content to really like get guides and that going out there as well. Because the one thing I've noticed is the podcast is doing great, got some good viewing numbers on that, considering we're a very new channel. Um, but what really people are interested in right now is also guides. Like the dive into the echoes one. That one's kind of like taken off, considering again how new we are. It's getting a lot of coverage right now. And for the most part, considering how heavily edited that is down, um, yeah, very positive, which kind of surprised me. Just kind of thought it'd be like a 50-50 video kind of thing. Bit of a hit, bit of miss, but yeah. So it just allows us to bring more videos like that out as well. Little more time, less editing podcasts, more time editing guides and stuff as well. Hopefully in a better quality, because I do want to keep working on the quality of those things, while still maintaining the quality of the podcast. And I feel like going forward, one episode on a Monday night release, 6 p.m. It's a great time window. And yeah, it just allows us to work on other projects. So going forward, that's what we're going to be rolling with. Just the one video. We'll still have up to 4 guests on it, maybe a little more. We'll see. Uh, but yeah, like Bing, do you have anything you want to kind of add to that as well? Because you're going to be on those podcasts quite a bit with me, right? So
I mean, I sure will. And I think you went through most of it pretty much. But yeah, so going forward with one episode a week instead of two is also going to be nice because one, I think people like will appreciate them more a bit because you won't be constantly just getting fed like podcast and podcast and podcast. Having a bit more spread between them is going to be, I think, like a nice space for everyone, and also that means like I said, we can put more quality into them, so like topics that a bit more, no need to stretch for, finding more stuff to talk about, and it's gonna allow us to just like go into more stuff going forward and more topics and have stuff to talk about for a long time. So I think it's just pretty much like an all-rounder like good solution.
Yeah. The other thing as well, guys, right, is when we release these podcasts in two parts, part one does really well. That's normally where we put all our sauce, like the most spiciest sauce going, like anything for that week goes part one. Part two doesn't do as well. And I think that's also because we cram too many topics in instead of saving them. And so that's another reason for this change as well. There is going to be another channel update video going forward as well because I believe the gameplay videos that I'm doing, I'm coming up to the last one, not this week, next week's release is going to be the last one, unless any more story hits the game around then. So, again, that's going to have to be changed so we can spend more time doing guides and other videos. The podcast is going to stay on the schedule for Monday, 6 p.m., though. That's not going to change. That seems to be a really good time to release. Very happy with the increased growth slowly that we're getting from that as well. And again, any feedback you have, we're taking into account and we're always looking to improve. It can be good feedback, bad feedback. You can put it in the YouTube comments. You can come and join our Discord, PM me with it. Entirely up to you, but I do appreciate all the feedback you guys give because it's helping us grow, helping us expand, helping us strive for more quality. And I think that's about it for now, right? So we'll just follow up after this with I believe the channel update video will go out before this actually. So yeah, you should have seen the channel update video before this podcast. And yeah, Bing, do you have anything else you want to add onto this part, or you quite happy to call it there, buddy?
I think we are good to wrap up part one.
Cool. Okay, so remember, part two this Wednesday, last one. Make the most of it. Catch you guys in part two. Ta-ta for now.
See you all in a bit.